Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin. Sunday, December 20th, around 9:30 p.m. Out walking the big guy who's going to be impossible to see. Taking him on a late night walk, and his last one before I leave for Puerto Rico tomorrow morning to meet Rachel and Addie, who've already been over there for a week, and I get to join them. And wow, looking forward to it. But walking as I am here at night, it's been a while since I did one of these walking videos, even longer since a talking head coding video, which is coming up again, I assure you. Yeah, so zeroing in on that particular stuff to talk about is always interesting when you have these big time periods in between, because you can't just pick up where you left off like installments in a serial, which is kind of like what I was trying to do, but I'll give it a shot. So the thing that finally got me to pull the camera out and do this video is I was debating what I was more interested in capturing my thoughts about: the willfulness to create state. Something that's hard to do sometimes. People who want to work in the functional world where there's no side effects and no cumulative global variables hate state. So it takes a certain willfulness to accept that you're doing something stateful, where, you know, all the side effects of what you did accumulate and matter. So the willfulness to create state versus the, and this is where it goes all sci-fi, of course, the statefulness to create will. Because, you know, matter's just doing its thing, and somehow along comes life. So life has eventually, we presume, something like higher order intelligence and free will that comes with it. True randomness, as far as any creator being is concerned, looking down at us, wouldn't be able to 100% predict our activities. So that is the statefulness to create will, if you will. So which am I more interested in talking about? I'll skip either one because that's just too wacky of a video, and I'll try and get back to the immediate concerns at hand, following the I guess it's almost like the, you know, developing story of my career. So I'm with a company called Acronym now. In itself should tell you a lot about the company. Company that decides to name itself Acronym. Okay. Yeah, they're smart people. And I guess the company's around 100 or so. And they're in multiple locations, but their main office is on the 65th floor of the Empire State Building, which is where I'm now working. I'm getting a real kick out of it, having a leg of my career in the same building as a leg of my father's, my late dad's career. He worked in the Empire State Building for a bunch of years back when he commuted to New York every day from Philly. So this is, I guess, a recalibration video. Time to recalibrate stuff a bit, because I am with a new employer. And the big Pipulate build period is over, which entailed, I guess, about 3 months of being an independent, where I fell in love with coding much more than I did doing the work for the clients. And then a year with a boutique digital, fairly small agency that got acquired by Women's Marketing, which was very interesting to me because I love being with companies as they go through those dynamic cycles that define them. I was with Commodore during its demise, but I was also with 360i during its stellar rise, following the Super Bowl Oreo, you can still dunk in the dark, fateful real-time marketing tweet. And I loved and still love 360i. Brilliant company, brilliant people, top to bottom, also smart. But they're smart and climbing up the brand marketing chain, or brand marketing client base, whatever you want to call it. 360i is going all rock star. and they can get the best and the most interesting business so long as they can keep their, you know, intense ideation capabilities up there, equal to their reputation. And it's so far so good. I mean, I hear the occasional things coming from them, but I'm not here to talk about that. I have seen things from a number of perspectives, and the WMI, Women's Marketing acquisition of Flying Point Digital, was interesting to me. I would have really loved to have been around for that ride. But, oh, how do you even say it? I started out with Commodore thinking I actually hated computers, but I fell in love with the Amiga computer and couldn't believe I was working for Commodore. The Amiga became a passion. All the kooky stuff about the computer that made it so far ahead of its time, and a secret weapon in art that wasn't even considered valid art at the time, but by today's perspective was pioneering stuff. Well, anyway, let's see, the trajectory of that discussion was something led me down the path to the Amiga. It'll come back to me. Just bear with me for a moment. Oh yes, of course. I've learned to appreciate the wacky, the different, the homegrown, proprietary, competitive advantage being drawn from the off the beaten track stuff. And 360i has one version of it, but it's not the one along my career trajectory, which is really digital response. I'm a data guy, a data design guy. So I'm all about the tight feedback loops between you know, collecting data from stuff being published, looking at the data you've collected, correlating it with a bunch of other metrics, and making tiny adjustments to what you have published to improve the whole process of bringing back the next visitor who's researching similar things. And it used to be one sort of game, and it's now gradually transitioning to another sort of game. I like both games, you know. If I sat back and looked at it objectively, that old school way of building spam cannons of optimized doorway pages that precisely target exactly that one unlikely but still searched on keyword combination better than any other page on the internet. Sites that had millions of pages, not uncommon. Careful analysis of the Googlebot crawl path through the site, optimizing to put the most competitive and lucrative topics on the shortest click paths from the home page. A whole science here. But it's becoming a heck of a lot less important as Google rewards fewer pages with much stronger historical and continuous signals reinforcing it, and then making tiny adjustments at the last second to pivot which of these fairly well established landing pages to direct the user to based on some customization and location data that, you know, just adds a couple more, you know, facets or vectors to that final choice of how to compose the screen for them, a curated experience in response to their query. Search is getting smarter, and it's not great for kind of that great equalizing long tail effect. It was really wonderful, you know, small guys could really stick it to the big guys because they were technically more savvy. Pure technical savvy isn't going to do it anymore. It has to be technical savvy backed up by long running target strategies. And what I mean by that is you need targets that run a long time through time. That means URLs shouldn't change. URLs should be well thought out. And if you have a bunch of historical stuff that's not on the URLs you want to promote, you better make your decision between just biting the bullet and living with those old URLs or rolling up and consolidating in the most tightly buttoned up, won't lose anything if Google keeps their words about passing, say, like 90% relevancy through 301 permanent redirects, canonical tags, and a variety of features that kind of consolidate your old historic authority onto a smaller, tighter, more pristine set of carefully considered URLs, a real portfolio of URLs. I did some work today on my own. I have mikelev.in. I have the good fortune to get my exact name as my website. Just the dot goes before the last two letters. Thank you, India. And I have now mikelev.in/ux for my Linux operating system, the small distro for education. And I spruced up my /Pipulate page, and I spruced up my /SEO page. And there's only going to be a very small set of these pages that I'm going to heavily promote over time. I have an awesome blog article from 2010, 5 years ago now, where I wrote about Python. And if you search for advantages of Python, benefits of Python, and all these variations of that, you're going to get that page. But it's not my domain /Python, which is what I want it to be. So I'm starting to think about my strategies. I'm probably going to do it at some point, going to bite the bullet and get rid of the old bloggy URLs and roll them up into snappier, shorter URLs that I'd be happy with for 20 years. Because URLs are going to be the rule of the game easily that long. So let's see. Thinking through anything else I want to say before I go. I'm leaving for Puerto Rico. I'll be there for 2 weeks with the family, coming back and really starting my new job then, going through the introduction of myself to the clients. Oh, that was a point I was making before. The reason for acronym, I'm going to be able to focus. I'm going to be able to do my work on a single client, even though this client might have dozens or more of websites in play, lots of very interested stakeholders with conflicting and varying motivations, always that way. And I'm going to get to be the SEO, helping them resolve their issues over a period of who knows how many years, as what I plan on being sort of the crescendo, the apex of my SEO career, where SEO is going to have its first great case study, because there's no going to be denying the kind of turnaround that has been seen to take place with that site, and domination of number of keywords, number of natural language questions, serving quick answers that were found from their own sites, and dealing with all those crazy what belongs on what apex domain, subdomain, subdirectory, how to deal with languages, duplication of content over languages, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. Plus, of course, pure, ideation, the what to write about, to how to deal with, the blog URL situation, because there's always going to be new content published in new locations. So there's got to be strategies about how to migrate wins. Migration is always going to be part of the picture, but the migration should be a continuous, consolidating, rolling up in increasingly better URLs that you can live with for longer periods of time, and which would just be the logical ones where people think that stuff should reside anyway. It's just got to make sense. So that's the new SEO, where things just make sense, and the content that is found on that URL is the world-class best content of its type, and that very location can start to get a reputation and be used in turn for discovery of other services, data feeds, other protocols that work off of different ports there. and have real epicenters of activity, information exchange activity, commerce, marketplaces, whatever. SEO is fundamental. SEO is your business. SEO gets baked in at all levels and shouldn't even be called SEO, but nobody knows the term for where this is going. I would take stabs at it myself, but for fear of giving it a try and getting it wrong. But it definitely has a lot to do with APIs. It has a lot to do with how much more the crawlers can do with structured data sources. It has a lot to do with histories of users and how their data can be looked at either in real time or mined after the fact. And the creation of new systems that can do things in real time that people would have never thought possible, connecting the awareness of the movement of users through multiple channels, because you own all those channels and you have them tied together, and you are looking for the information you want intelligently without having to, mine for it later in a, after the fact analytics process like printing. You do it more like I made Hittail work, where the algorithm works in real time, and when it notices stuff, just brings it to your attention immediately on whatever platform you happen to be on, with whatever permissions and notification ability to poke through and actually reach you. And everything gets tied together that should be, so that people who have products and services to offer can connect with people who need stuff or things done. And that's pretty much it. That's SEO in a nutshell. That's my big update. Did you like it? Well, keep me doing these videos by thumbs up and forwarding the video link to people and say, hey, here's someone you might want to take a look at. He's doing some interesting stuff. It's coming soon. Whatever I can make published about Pipulate evolving. A nice cleanup of the code, probably porting from 2.7 to 3.x Python, and switching from yields to yield froms, breaking up the monolithic generator, and a whole bunch of exciting stuff I have slated. How to keep the proprietary bits secret, not let it all leak out on GitHub, as what was the My Pipulate subdirectory, but now I want to give it a stronger term, like grid harness or something, because it works on its own, like unit tests as you develop Pipulate standalone functions that you can just drop into Pipulate. I should say Python standalone functions that you could drop into Pipulate. That's how that works. So I'll be bringing all that stuff back online just as soon as I can. And thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe. Oh, it's getting cold.